Welcome to the Ywk Podcast. I'm your host, Becky, and if you're watching the video version of this, you might be thinking, this person looks a bit like Becky. That's weird. That's because this is my sister, Kathryn, or Kat, and she's our guest today on the podcast. I'm going to be interviewing her to ask her a little bit about her youth, children's and family work experience. Unlike me, she didn't go into youth work as a vocation. So I'm going to ask her a little bit about her journey and her story, and hopefully it'll inspire some of you, because we're all about ordinary people just being obedient and using their skills and their gifts on this podcast. So that is exactly who we are, ordinary people. So Kat, I've obviously unpacked what our connection is. How did you get into youth, kids or ministry in the first place? Tell us your story. Like, obviously you didn't do it as a job. Give us a little bit of your job history, work history, so that people can hear some of that.
So I started off wanting to be an air hostess. I did a lot of travel and tourism jobs. So in customer service, in check-in desk, and then I finally did get to do cabin crew. Then I moved to America for a bit. Opportunity to go there. So I went for about 2 years, studied out there, worked out there for a bit, and then I came back. I used to do a little youth work with you, didn't I? Like help you when you needed hot chocolate makers and stuff like that. So I had done stuff like that before, but then when I was in America, I met my husband now, and he, after we got married, he decided he wanted to become a vicar. So I started attending the church with him, and there we got involved to run a youth club once a week, and I used to go to that and take it in turns, like to lead it. So I got a lot of experience through that. And then now me and him have both planted a church in Bedworth, which is a town near Coventry, and we do a lot of children's work, family work, the whole spectrum, really.
Tell us about what you're doing at the minute. So you run a messy church and you do some other outreach into the community.
Yeah, so the church we've planted is called Lantern Church Bedworth, and we started off, the first thing we did was a messy church. So we've got a really good relationship with the school, one of the local schools in the area that we're planting in, and right next to it is a children's centre. So we spoke to the children's centre and they were happy. Well, first of all, they said no God stuff, and then by the end of the meeting, it was a really God thing, because by the end of the meeting, they were happy for us to do whatever we wanted, which is great. We do a messy church every Wednesday after school time, and we start off with crafts, activities. We do a little talk, sing some songs, and then we do a meal each week for the children and the families, and we get about 70 a week. So yeah. So we do that on a Wednesday. Then I also run a warm hub on a Monday, community cafe. We've just started a parent cafe on a Tuesday afternoon for parents at the school to come and drop in, whether they're doing drop off or pick up, just to socialise a bit with other mums or dads. Then Thursday we do a service in a retirement bungalow in a community centre there. So we do a service there on a Thursday. Amazing. And a lot more projects in the pipeline, but that's where we're at the moment.
Yeah. And how long has Lantern Church been running? How new are you?
So we've been here about 3 years. Lantern Church, Messy Church, just had their 2-year anniversary last month. Mm-hmm. So Messy Church has officially been running for 2 years.
Yeah, because the first year you were kind of embedding into the community, getting to know people, making connections.
And getting stuff in the pipeline, so chatting to the children's centre, kind of getting to know the area, knowing what kind of areas there are that they need stuff, and
working out what the needs were, getting to know people.
Definitely, where we can slot into that,
Yeah. How many local families and young people and children do you have engaged with your things at the minute?
So we have roughly 70 that come every week to Messy Church, and there's a few families that come occasionally. So, but then the Children's Centre do community day once a year as well, and we have a room there, and we meet a lot more families there and tell them about Messy Church and what we do. And we also run, when it's Easter or Christmas or Pancake Day, we do like a special day for that, usually at the big church in town, and we invite everyone from Messy Church in the area to come to that. So I'd say probably maybe 200 families, because even if they don't come to Messy Church, we advertise things we do in the school. So a lot of people come even if they don't come to Messy.
And how did you build the connections with the Children's Centre and the school? Has it been easier because your kids go there, or?
I think a little bit, but I think just chatting to them, we've got a really good relationship with all of them who work there. The manager, she's a Coventry City fan, so Paul always chats to her about football and stuff. But I think it's building them gradually. They know that we're they know what we do. Then they know that we're there to support the families, and it's good for them because we're running it for free for them. They then get people coming into centre, because a lot of families who come in, like, they do a lot of early years groups and baby massage and stuff like that. Whereas they don't do that many activities for older children. So us doing this lets them meet that target that they've got.
Yeah.
So yeah, it benefits everyone really. But then us being there with Messy Church, they then ask us to get involved in other things. Like there was a feedback event they ran the other day, a feedback group that I went to, so I had kids there, so they knew to ask me and I could go. So yeah, I think it's just building relationships and knowing that it's beneficial to both of us to get involved in things.
With the Messy Church, like, what age children is that aimed at? Just for people who are thinking they've never heard of it or not really sure.
So we have a broad range of our Messy Church. So they have a nursery in the area, which is 2 to 3. Then they have the school nursery, which is 3 to 4. Then they have the primary school, which is year 1 to year 6. But then they also have a high school next door. So usually brothers and sisters come. So there could be young babies come. They could have their older brothers and sisters from high school that come. So it's really broad, really. What we try and do is do activities so they'll meet all age ranges. And we have mats in the corner if they do bring babies and things. So there's a little safe area for them, and yeah, try and meet all the needs as best we can. Yeah.
And from when you first started getting involved with youth work, I think you said that it was me who roped you in to get involved. It was one of my previous jobs. So you were on my youth team as a volunteer. So I think you helped with our Sunday evening youth event. We had a Sunday evening youth church service with refreshments beforehand. And we did stuff with them, summer festivals, Soul Survivor and things, and you came along and helped with those. And then when you met Paul, you'd helped with youth stuff there as well.
Yeah.
What youth stuff did you do as part of it?
So they used to run, I can't remember what day of the week it was. So they used to do an after-school cafe where they used to do hot chocolates, donuts. They used to have a little tuck shop where they sold sweets. They used to have a pool table, games to play with the kids. They just used to pop in after school, get a drink, get some snacks and just hang about, play games. But we'd play with them and chat to them and see how their day was. So we did that. And then we did a later one, which I think was on a Thursday, which was in the evening. So that was we did crafts first, refreshments again, and then a select few they'd asked to stay, when they were more interested in learning more about Jesus and God, we'd allow them to stay to the second bit. And then one of us would lead each week on a certain subject, do a little tiny talk, and then maybe have some ministry time, some prayer time, some songs, So that's what that was. And then I used to, Sunday school as well, I used to help with the older kids with Paul.
Yeah. So that's been sort of, 10-year journey of first helping out as a volunteer and then...
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So how would you say God has led or moved or changed you along the way, along that journey, from when you first started to now?
So we did is it called Myers-Briggs test, where you test what kind of personality you've got? Yeah, so I did it years ago and I came back as an introvert. I think I still am an introvert, but a lot of the traits that I now use for Messy Church and talking to parents and stuff like that, I now come out as an extrovert when I'm not, but I think I kind of am more because that's how I have to be for the job and chat to people and so it's so a bit more outgoing, I think. And I think it also comes with confidence too. I remember leading the youth thing at St Hugh's and I was petrified. I was so nervous that these kids were just gonna eat me alive. And it was fine. The more you do it, the more confident you get at doing it, and it just it comes more easier as you get on.
Yeah, it becomes more of a natural thing, doesn't it, rather than feeling out of your depth.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And what's the biggest lesson you think you've learned from youth, kids or family work along the way?
For me personally, I think it's being comfortable in the chaos. Especially Messy Church, 70 people in a hall each week. It's just madness. This week, they were just crazy. And I think it's just finding the little moments within the madness and chaos to just maybe have a chat with a parent, chat to a child that you probably haven't spoken to, or maybe you have and you're just seeing how they were getting on, and just having their little conversations within the craziness to get to know them a bit better and build the relationship.
Have you got any ministry highlights either from youth work or from more recent at Bedworth? your family ministry?
I think for me, it's just the relationships that we've built with particular families. There's some that's been coming from right when we first started doing Messy Church, and they've come to different stuff we've ran. And yeah, we've got to know them more, and kids of the similar age and things like that. And I think it's them knowing that we're there to help them when they're going through a tough time or struggling with particular things, that they'll message us and say, like, do you just mind praying for this for me this week? Or I'm really worried about this. Or even just coming up to us in Messy Church and saying, do you mind praying with me? I'm really worried about this week. And we'll stand and pray with them. And I think it's just, knowing that we're there to support them through tough times. And it doesn't have to be scary. And we are normal people at the end of the day, there to help them and support them. And yeah, I think sometimes churches are a bit daunting, especially if you're not a regular churchgoer, if you've probably only been once, or when you have to go for weddings or funerals. And I think, having normal people around that you see every week that, can just, there to support you when you need it.
Yeah, it's really important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can I ask you, I haven't prompted you on this, but prepared you, but can I ask you a little bit about your Christian journey? Because obviously you were involved in a youth group, same as I was growing up, because our parents are Christians, but how has your faith ebbed and flowed and changed over the years that you've been a Christian, and how did you come to faith in the first place?
Growing up, we grew up in a Christian home. Mum and dad were Christians, and I feel like I've got all the background knowledge. I know all the Bible stories, used to do them in Sunday school, act them out, do all that. So I had got kind of a good base knowledge, I think. But then, I don't know, growing up, I used to go to youth group and that, but I never felt like I 100% fitted in. Most of my friends at school were non-Christians. I used to have a couple in the youth groups, but not loads. So I felt like I don't know, I never felt like I had both feet fully in it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Then when I moved to America, I met a friend out there, and I always thought that I'd know when it was time to be a Christian, because I'd be able to put everything else aside, stop being silly, like be proper not serious, but do you know what I mean? Like sensible, be a bit more responsible. I thought that time would come and I'd know when it was time.
Like, it's time to start adulting now.
Yeah, like put all that aside, So I was like, I'm waiting for that to happen, it'll be fine. I don't need to do that yet. I feel like I learnt the lesson that I don't need to be perfect for God or Jesus. I don't need to. Like, I can be myself, and we've got the grace of God, and we can be ourselves. And so after that, I came back, got baptised in England. Then I met Paul, started chatting to him, and then started going to his church. And then I feel like I kind of found faith myself as an adult. I think when you grow up, you kind of take on your parents' faith a little bit from them, because they've got it, and they try and pass it on to you. But I feel like I've kind of gained it for myself in that, if that makes sense. Okay. So when I was in America, one of my friends that I met over there, she used to go to church every week, and hanging out with her and spending time with her, you saw that her life wasn't perfect. She wasn't the perfect Christian that I thought that you had to be. She didn't make the best decisions all the time. And I think I just kind of learned that I don't have to be perfect, that I can just come as I am. And we're all a work in progress. Nobody's perfect. We've got the grace of God, and I can do it.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? Like, we don't do anything in our own strength.
No, definitely not. I feel like that's another thing with youth work, like especially Messy Church every week, it can be chaos. And if you've had a lot going on in the week before that, you just feel drained at the end. So it's through the strength of God that we can do it. The Holy Spirit helps us to find the strength, and miraculous things happen. It's good.
Yeah, it's amazing. Have you brought a fun question to ask me? Or
what do you think is one thing you've learned from doing Youth Work Plus?
Do Youth Work Plus, or the whole journey of youth ministry?
Yeah, your whole journey.
I think I would say it's probably similar to what we've just been talking about, that we don't do things in our own strength. The biggest thing I've learned is that from my first youth work job, I felt like they'd made a terrible mistake, and that they'd appointed the wrong person, and that I didn't have the skills that I needed, and just felt like God said to me, not with an audible voice, but just like implanted into my brain somehow, like the fact that we just show up and he gives us the toolbox. And I think the longer I've been in ministry, the more I've understood that. all we have to do is show up and be obedient to what God wants us to do. And sometimes that's tricky because it feels like outside of our comfort zone, or it feels like outside of our skill set, or it feels like we've jumped off the deep end and we don't know if we're going to make it through. But every time that we show up and obedient, God meets us in the middle and provides what we need to do it, whether that's skills or confidence or resources or other people to come alongside us, or young people or children to show up at the stuff that we're running. God always, as long as we're obedient to what we feel God's asking us to do, and part of that is like making the time to ask the question as well, like, what are you leading me to do this week or this season or this term or whatever, and then just like following through with what we feel like saying, and he meets us in the middle and gives us the confidence to do what he's asking us to do. Like, he never sends us off on our own or like asks us to do something that's beyond what we can do. God always backs it up with providing the resources that we need, or instilling in us the skills that we need when we don't feel like we have them, or bringing alongside us the people to do it with when we feel like we're on our own. Or so yeah, I think it'd be that. God empowers us, and all we have to do is show up. And even in those times where we feel out of our depth, or feel like I can't do this, or feel like, are you sure, God? Are you sure
not in our own strength, but in His, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely in His strength, not ours. And I think that keeps you humble as well, because you know that it's not your show, it's not your thing. Like, all you're doing is turning up and bringing your skills and your perspective and your experience, but it's God who does the magic. Yeah, if I can say it that way. Obviously, it's not magic. It's miraculous stuff. Yeah, God's at work in the midst of everything and everyone, and we just show up and bring our part. And sometimes we see some of that happen, and sometimes we don't.
Yes, definitely.
And I think sometimes that's been a frustration for me as well. I feel like in lots of my roles, people say, when you tell people that you're a youth worker or that you're involved in ministry, people are like, oh, that must be so rewarding. And you kind of think, well, it is, but it isn't at the same time. There's lots of seasons where you feel you're like sowing all these seeds and you're not really seeing any growth, or you're working with a young person who just isn't listening to any of your advice and they're just like going off and doing their own thing, and you feel sometimes really disheartened by it all and feel, why am I even doing this? And there's definitely been times where they've been tough like that, where I haven't seen the fruit, but I know that there is some. And I think that's another thing I've learned along the way, that just because we can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there.
It's not happening. Yeah,
and
definitely.
I've been involved in youth ministry for a long time now, and there's been some young people who I've thought we really made a difference with them. And I've met them as adults and seen that they're well-rounded people who our input did make an impact on them, and they've said thank you for being a youth leader, or thank you for being involved in their life. And you don't always get the thank yous and you don't always get to see the fruit, but it's there. And I remember once I was at a conference a couple of years ago, just sort of around the same time as I had the Vision for Youth Work Plus, and the Holy Spirit spoke to me and sort of showed me a vision of all the people who would be in heaven as a result of me being obedient. And that blew my mind a little bit, because I was a bit like, whoa, there is an impact to what you do. And when you do choose to be obedient and to follow what God's called you to, there are results. And we won't know the impact of some of those. Sometimes the impact of what you do happens years after, when the penny drops for somebody, or you've started somebody on a journey and years later somebody else says something or does something that finally makes all those pennies drop. We don't always know what the impact of what we do has, but it does have an impact, and sometimes we get to see a glimpse of that, or we get an encouragement vision like that and see that there'll be people in heaven because of what we've done. And that's not me. I'm not special or magical. I'm pretty sure that is the case for all of us. You know, when we choose to be obedient and show up and do what God's asked, there will be people in heaven who wouldn't be there if it weren't for our input. Which is amazing that God chooses to use us lowly, ordinary people, to do the work. And that's part of the blessing and the amazingness of God's plan for the world, that he chooses to use us, lowly people, to be involved in in the work, which is amazing, really, because he doesn't have to. He chooses to use us to be lights of the world and to bring other people into the party. So yeah, that'd be my answer. What area do you think of youth, kids, family ministry are you most passionate about, and why?
I don't know. It's nice knowing that we're supporting people and meeting them where they're at. I think I like that.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to have massive, like, I've never done a theology degree, and I feel like
neither have I.
You don't need that. You just need, meet them where they're at, and support them when they need it. Help show them Jesus through your actions, and
Do you think you have a preference over youth, kids, or family work, or you just like them all?
I don't know. I like Messy Church. It's not just the kids we have contact with, it's the family as well. Yeah. So some of them, the kids get really involved with the stories each week and know the story, whereas sometimes it's the adults that might take something on board and then share that with the kids. So it's kind of both. I like dealing with the parents and the kids because they support each other, I think, influence each other.
Yeah, pretty much not a preference. I think you've just done wherever God's led, haven't you?
Yeah, I think that's the idea. The idea was to get to know the community, kind of see what the need was. And Paul's, my husband, his little saying, I don't know if it's a saying or what, is people won't care what you know until they know that you care.
Yeah.
So I think the idea is just to get to know them, let them know that we care. And that we're not, I think a lot of people who are non-Christians as well think Christians are these strange people that have got a long list of rules of things that they don't do, don't have fun, don't do this, don't do that. And I think, it's getting rid of those stereotypes, I think, and letting them know that we are normal people, that we're not going to drag them in a church building. We're just going to get to know them and have a chat and wait till they're ready to hear more. We're not going to force them into it. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of people are worried that is what church is all about, and it's not.
No. It's about meeting people where they're at, isn't it? And I think when our agenda is just to get more bums on seats or just to get connection with people, then with an agenda, then you aren't really caring about them. Like, you aren't really, your whole basis is based on an agenda rather than like getting to know people and loving them and caring about them, regardless of what choice they make.
To what you were saying before, I think it's not about trying to get them to be on the whole journey in front of you so you get to see all of it. It's maybe taking them on a little steps at a time, or maybe just showing them one thing that they might remember in the future and then think back and think, oh, that happened. Maybe this stuff is worth researching or looking into a bit more. So I think it's just little nuggets of the kingdom that you can pass on to other people so they get a taste of it, I think.
And obviously your church is very community focused. As a church plant, you start off with hardly anybody engaged, and the whole premise is that you engage with people from the community and get them involved in your church. But why do you think churches should be outreach focused? Why should they care about their communities, not just the people who they've already got?
So if they don't engage other people, then the church is just going to die off because there's not going to be new people coming in. And I think for God's family, you need as many people with as many experiences and different outlooks as you can get, because it makes the whole family at the end of the day. If it's just Christians, just church people that are involved every week, then nothing new's being brought in. You're not being taught anything new because it's all everything you know. So I think it's important. And also, that's what God taught us to do, to be like him. Little Christ essentially is what Christian means, isn't it? So we need to go out and be little Christ in our own communities, try and reach as many people as we can.
Yeah. And it's that whole thing, isn't it, of like, I've heard the excuse before that that's for some people. Some people are called to be evangelists and some people are called to go and do outreach, but, I'm just happy with my little pigeonhole here. And
thing is, we're all given different walks of life, we're all given different journeys, and there'll be at some point in life where someone will ask you a question or you'll be able to share a little bit with them, and it'll be what they need to hear. What you've been through, what your journey will be what they exactly need to hear. So everyone's an evangelist, really. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
How can people engage with what you're doing? What can our listeners pray for you?
We struggle to get volunteers. We've got a couple of apprentices. We've got 3 paid staff. At the moment, we have 2 volunteers that help us, and that's as big as our team is at the moment. So more volunteers is what we're looking for. Prayer for that would be great. And also just the projects that we're running. So we've got so many projects in the pipeline that we don't have the people to run at the moment. So we need more volunteers, more people to help with them so we can roll it out. But yeah, just for future projects and volunteers.
Yeah, so please do pray for Kat and their Lantern Church in Bedworth, and for those things that she's asked for. Prayer does.
We're on Facebook as well if you want to add us.
Yeah, there you go.
Keep updated what we're doing.
Follow them on social media.
Yeah. Plug.
Yeah. What advice or encouragement would you give for any of our listeners who are involved in youth, kids, or family ministry?
Being comfortable in the chaos. And I think a lot of people can be overwhelmed by it and think it's too much. Like, it's too loud in here. I'm not getting through to anyone. I'm not. Whereas I think in the 2 years experience of what we've been doing, it does make a difference. Even the little conversations, it might just be maybe going to chat to someone who's sitting on their own, or maybe looks a bit stressed out because their child might not be listening. Something like that. Yeah, just having little conversations that are probably bringing them a little step on the journey, a little bit closer to Jesus.
Yeah.
Little conversations, and that you don't need to be perfect or know everything. Just be yourself and God will use you.
That is really important, isn't it? To remember that the small stuff makes a difference as well. It doesn't have to be an all singing, all dancing thing. It's not about, you don't have to force things to happen. It's just showing up, having a conversation with somebody.
Yeah, definitely.
And looking for opportunities to connect with people. And
I think with kids too, is if you show them interest and chat to them every week, you get to know them a bit better, and then they know that you're there to support them and know them, and not there to force anything on them that they don't want to know, or just build relationships.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you for coming today on our podcast. It's been great to have you. I'm sure that some of what you've said has resonated with people and has inspired them in their journeys. Like you said, we never know what parts of our story people will resonate with, or will inspire, or help people to understand something new about God, which is amazing, isn't it? We just show up and share our things.
And God does the rest.
Thank you so much for tuning in. To our listeners, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, get in touch if you want to. Make sure you follow Lantern Church Bedworth if you want to keep in touch with what they're doing.
On Instagram as well.
Yeah, find them on all the social platforms. If you want to move to Bedworth and join their church plant, then they're all for that as well.
We're ready. We're ready for you. Come see us.
Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for coming, Kat. It's been great to have a chat with you.
Well, thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time, listeners. Bye-bye.
Bye.